way Russian army commanders treat their own soldiers shocks even those who have zero sympathy for the occupiers. First, they were sending tanks and IFVs into heavy fire. When those ran out, they started throwing assault troops in on motorcycles.
Of the 24 guys on motorcycles, only 2 of us made it, me and my comrade. They told us to go forward. I said, there's just 2 of us, we should wait for the others. But they said, just get there, secure the position, and that's it.
But the tactic in 2026 is pairs of 2 soldiers moving on foot with a 30-minute gap between groups, walking straight into Ukrainian drone strikes.
Those FPV drones are tearing us apart every day. They're killing hundreds of men every single day.
While Ukrainians are wiping out the first group, the second is already crawling up.
I'm done for. I'm f***ed. We're all f***ed. Those drones tore us apart. I don't know what to do. Mom, I love you.
This death carousel can run for months, but why won't the fighters just refuse?
If you don't follow orders, if you refuse your missions, I swear on my mother and my children, I'll personally shoot each and every one of you. You're all in this shit now, you f***ing animals. All of you, except that one man. The rest, animals.
But being the good soldier in your commander's eyes guarantees absolutely nothing if someone decides to save their own life when the situation becomes hopeless.
Look at these 2 cowards. They abandoned their post. Guys like this need to be taught a lesson.
Beatings, pits, unofficial prisons, extortion. These are just some of the tools the Russian army uses to force soldiers to march obediently to their deaths. Refusal can also mean death.
The commander ordered the senior in our group that if I made one wrong move, they were to zero me out.
Zero out is soldier slang in the Russian army for killing someone. That's exactly why they're willing to surrender. Russian commanders hate this. It's simpler for them if the man just dies. So before an assault, fighters are briefed on how to kill themselves if capture becomes a threat.
This is not a joke. These are the several ways I'm supposed to kill myself if capture becomes a threat.
Some of them actually take that final step. In soldier slang, that act is called Putin's last kiss. But some of them make the smart call.
If you don't do anything stupid, you stay alive.
Who knows? Maybe some of those Russian guys will want to pick up a weapon again. But this time against the Russian army. Maybe that will be the first act of their lives as free men.
Это священное оружие. В борьбе за свободу, независимость и светлое будущее своей Родины. Слава Украине!
Russians shooting at Russians, then taking them prisoner. Is this treason? A mutiny? No. This is the reality of 2026. That's exactly what this video is about.
I believe Putin's power needs to be torn down. I don't want to run from it. I want to hit back. I pick up a rifle and I fight. I pick up a mortar and I fight. It's that simple. You can begin, understood? Plus,
a Russian machine gunner is bringing chaos and terror. But on the other side, there are also Russians. A Russian grenadier cranks up the pressure. The Russians on that side need to understand they're going to get wiped out either way. Almost all of them are dead men walking.
I want to remind you that you bought a one-way ticket. Back home, nothing's waiting for you except torture.
Russian units operating within the Ukrainian army first appeared on the battlefield in 2022. These were mostly Russian civilians who decided to fight against Putin's regime. We'll talk about those sent by Russian intelligence services at the end, but we'll start with those who came by their own calling. In that first wave of volunteers, most were civilians with a strong civic backbone. They'd always been against Putin, so they decided to fight on Ukraine's side.
Coming here, I lost everything I had in St. Petersburg, but I'm here because my family and I cannot accept the crimes Putin has smeared us with.
But how were they received by Ukrainians, given what the Russian army was doing on occupied territory?
The first time I showed up at the border, they told me, no, get lost. We don't need you here, we'll manage without you. In the end, it was basically, buddy, either we put you in the ground right now, or you get the hell out of here.
The Ukrainian reaction is understandable. Russia is unleashing a nightmare on occupied territory.
The Russian army commits crimes not only in Ukraine. I served until 2008. I was in Georgia and Chechnya. The Russian army did the same things there. That's why I decided back then that the army and I had no business being together.
There were quite a few guys like him. So Ukrainian command worked out a framework under which volunteers from Russia could join the ranks of the Ukrainian army. Volunteers from other countries typically go into combat units. Russians are no exception. But there is one difference.
For every minute late, the punishment is 100 burpees.
Harsh, but this isn't discrimination because of a Russian passport. It's a specific training protocol.
Man, the training is brutal. I've never seen anything like it in the Russian army.
But it's offset by the knowledge and skills each recruit walks away with. The thing is, Russian volunteer units are not your ordinary army outfit. They operate under the direct command and coordination of the main intelligence directorate of Ukraine's Ministry of Defense. After all, they are citizens of the aggressor state. Russian volunteers go through a strict vetting process by Ukraine's military intelligence and security structures. The screening includes background checks, contact reviews, checks for ties to Russian intelligence services, in-depth interviews about motivation, psychological testing, and medical exams.
They sat me down in a chair, hooked up the wires, and asked me things I didn't expect. Not, are you loyal? They already assumed that. They wanted to know if I could kill, if I could watch someone die and keep moving. I passed. I'm still not sure how I feel about that. And then become training. Nobody told me that this would be the hardest part. Training runs 6 to 8 weeks. Our job is to give every fighter everything he needs to become a real operator.
This is where real Apex operators come out of. In reality, volunteers from Russia, Ukraine, the United States, or Colombia share one thing in common. They want a hard fight. That's what it comes down to. Nobody wants to sit in a trench waiting for the enemy to show up. Nobody wants to be pushing papers at a headquarters. Born warriors crave that extreme intensity, liters of adrenaline, and the kind of emotional shock that breaks most people. But the war in Ukraine stuns even those types. Our channel has a whole series of videos where volunteers from different countries talk about their experiences and what this war has done to them. But right now, we're focusing on the Russians.
Yeah, the first fight, that was a hell of a mission. First, the first assault platoon went in with some adjacent units and armor. I was in the second assault platoon, held in reserve. By day 3, it was our turn.
An assault is nothing but chaos and gunfire. Rounds and shrapnel whipping past your head, smoke burning your eyes. And it's almost impossible to tell friend from enemy. That's why assaults always cost you people.
I've got wounds with consequences that stay with me, but it's a hell of a job.
The number of ideologically driven people born for war is limited in any society. But the number of Russians fighting on Ukraine's side has grown by tens of times compared to the first months of the invasion. The new arrivals in 2026. Who are these people? Are there moles among them, sent on a mission by Russian intelligence services?
Personally, I came here to avenge my fallen brothers.
Getting out of Russia to Ukraine has gotten a lot harder because of the FSB's operations. Guys are being tracked. FSB officers conduct interrogations at the border, crack phones and tablets, check contacts and messenger histories. And not just the guys, the women too.
Everyone here is completely off their rocker. Among us, there are guys who crossed the border through minefields, then walked up to a Ukrainian cop and said, "Hey, I want to join the Legion of Free Russia."
But there's another path into the Ukrainian army's ranks.
I served in Russian GRU Special Forces, and I hold a Crimson Beret. I was deployed to Syria twice. That's where I understood that Russia does not care about its soldiers. When they called me up for the war against Ukraine, I already wanted no part of it. When they sent me on a combat mission, I put my weapon down and just waited to be taken prisoner. Now I'm a volunteer and a machine gunner.
Drop a comment below. Do you support the decision of a person to fight against the army of their own country when that army is committing crimes? Or write what you think about this video. Hit like and subscribe to our channel because your support is what drives us to keep making new videos. And in these playlists, you'll find the most intense Russian army assaults from the war in Ukraine. From the siege of Kyiv in 2022 to the assault on Mala Tokmachka that has been going on for over 1,500 days. Stay safe and support Ukraine.